Jack Daniel's Toasted Barrel Heritage Single Barrel. This is the new special release from Jack Daniel's. It hasn't even hit Washington State yet, from my knowledge. I got this through a hookup from my good friend, the Simone Barkeep, through one of his friends out of the state. So, kind of 6 degrees of bourbon at this point in order to get this bad boy in my hands. I'm a pretty big fan of a lot of the different Jack Daniel's releases, so I really was looking forward to this because I also like a lot of toasted barrel bourbon. So for 2 Minute Tuesday, we're doing Jack. Plus, I really love this blue label. I think it looks sick, but I might be biased. So some details on the Jack Daniel's Heritage Toasted. This sits at 100 proof, and while this is kind of a special release right now, supposedly this is supposed to become a shelf-available and stable product. We'll see about that, but Jack Daniel's is usually really good when they keep things on the shelf, like their single barrel proofs, whether it's the rye or the Tennessee whiskey. It's a bourbon, let's be honest. It's just a different filtering process. They're pretty good at that, so let's hope that happens with these as well. What I really want to see is when can we get toasted barrel picks? It had like no cork pop noise. What the I expect more out of you, Jack. Oh my god, the nose already is pretty awesome. Just a little touch. Alright, 2 Minute Tuesday. Let's get into the Jack Daniel's Toasted. Great color, what you would expect. I don't think you've ever seen bad color out of a Jack Daniel's product. And viscosity-wise, there you go. I think you can see over here, got some great legs forming. Let's get to the nose. So right away, the thing that I get out of this on the nose is a very s'mores note. There's a big graham cracker thing, a little bit of marshmallow, and actually a hint of chocolate on the nose. What I'm not getting is the typical banana that comes out of a lot of Jack Daniel's products for me. There is a good like brown sugary note in with that kind of chocolate and s'mores thing going on, so maybe it's kind of like the caramelized when you actually get that nice toastiness around a marshmallow. I don't know, it smells pretty lovely, so let's get in the palate. Palate is way different than the nose. Up front, there is this very like bananas Foster thing going on, more like candy banana, which is like that kind of banana runts thing. And I get almost none of the graham cracker. It's there, but it's so subtle underneath. The marshmallow is there. It's like super underlying under that graham cracker, but it's really dominated by like this bananas Foster kind of thing, but almost like you flambéed it a little too hard, because there definitely is a little like burnt thing going on, and what's surprising is it's actually getting ever so slightly acrid. Not really off-putting, but at 100 proof, I would expect that to be not present really, and not in like the nice barrel char spice kind of way, which is interesting. Really, it is like banana runts, a little bit of cinnamon and sugar, but it's been over flambéed, so it's kind of getting a little burnt and acrid. I'm really surprised because I almost never get any acrid notes out of Jack Daniel's, or at least any of their special releases. Kind of bringing it down a bit. It doesn't linger crazy long with the main flavors. It's this big upfront punch, and then it just kind of goes whoop and falls off, and it just kind of lingers with this like real faint thing, and like I guess a little bit of marshmallow, but if you burn that baby to a crisp, and a little too campfirey, and that's kind of off-putting for my palate personally. Let's get into a final score on the Jack Daniel's Heritage Series Toasted. I'm gonna rate this thing a 69. It's not horrible, it's just, it could be so much more. And maybe that's a matter of them proofing it down, but I would think that by proofing it down, it would take some of those acrid portions out and let some of the sweeter and fruit notes come forward. Because very typically with barrel proof whiskey, when we water it down and we bring that proof down, it expresses some of the fruit notes a bit better. Not always, it depends on the whiskey, but that tends to be the case. Like when I've had Jack Daniel's single barrels, some of the ones that are lower proof tend to be the ones that I get more fruit out of, and the ones that are higher proof that I've tried are the ones where I get more oak presence and those kind of deeper, more savory notes. The nose is so like campfire s'mores, it is fantastic. But then when I get into the palate, that portion goes away. The banana comes forward, and I like that a lot because I love the banana note that comes out of Jack Daniel's when I get it. But there's none of the nuttiness that I sometimes get in Jack Daniel's. There's definitely not any like the really like wonderful caramely notes. It's more burnt, like something was overcharred, or it sat in the toasted barrel for not long enough or too long. I'm not really sure, because it is a very carbony thing going on the palate, and that makes me have to bring it down. I think there are portions, depending on your personal palate, that you might really like. Like if you love taking a marshmallow to where it's all the way black over a campfire and you've just like burnt the entire outside and you're like, I love that combo, then this might actually give you something like that in whiskey form, and that might be really intriguing to you. But for me, I don't like that, and it takes away from some of the good parts of the whiskey, so I can't really rate it super high. If this didn't have that like burnt kind of off-putting thing that I'm getting at the tail end of the finish. I'd actually pretty like this quite a lot because I like that Bananas Foster's thing, but there's just this like slight acrid, and that's really taken away from me. For some people, if you really like that super burnt marshmallow thing, you might actually really, really dig this. But for me, it's starting to mess with some of the good parts of the flavor, and I don't know about that. The entirety of it is not as like ridiculously like jet fuel-esque and acrid as say something like that Johnny Drum was that we tried a while back. So I'm not gonna like ding it too hard. I think this is interesting, especially if you can get it for MSRP. It might be really cool. I would probably try this in a bar first, just to make sure that what I'm getting on my palate doesn't do the same thing to yours, to where you're like, this takes away from a lot of the positives, and I don't know if it's worth it. But then again, Jack Daniel's is so good at keeping their prices low, even on their special releases, that maybe it's worth picking it up just to have something interesting in your selection as a whole. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, leave a comment down below. What's your experience with Jack Daniel's? Have you had an opportunity to try the toasted barrel here? Or is there a particular product that you haven't been impressed with versus a product that you've really loved out of the Jack Daniel's line? I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing, because once we hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to give away a bottle of E.H. Taylor single barrel and a few other things. As always, my friends, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome.